Okay, so if you could start by introducing yourself and just letting us know who you are, what you do.
I'm Aileen Campbell, and I'm one of the SNP South of Scotland MSPs for the region of the South of Scotland, and I was elected in 2007, and I'm the youngest MSP in the current session, and just turned 30, but I was elected when I was just nearing the end of my 26th year, so I've been elected since 2007. I can't really believe that next year's going to be the election, so I've thoroughly enjoyed it so far.
Brilliant, brilliant. And what's it like being the youngest?
The youngest?
No, but yeah.
Well, I didn't. To be honest, when I stood for the first time in 2007, I stood in the constituency of Clydesdale, and I stood in the list as well for the SNP, and I didn't really think I would get elected, but it was an extraordinarily good year for the SNP. We managed to secure 5 off the South of Scotland list. So although we didn't do enough to quite win Clydesdale way, I got in on the list and got a call from one of my colleagues, Alistair Morgan, to say that he was standing in Dumfries and that I had been elected, so it was quite a shock. And then I discovered I was the youngest, so it's been quite a good thing to have a unique selling point. It has had some of its downsides as well, you know, trying to be sometimes people don't maybe take you as seriously, so you have to work a wee bit harder just to make sure that people do know that you've got a brain inside your head and that you can think seriously about things, and that you've got as much experience of life as many other folk in the parliamentary chamber. And I think it's been good. The 2007-11 session has been, I think, probably a bit more representative of what society in Scotland looks like, so I've been really privileged to be there and thoroughly enjoyed it so far.
And how what's the response from the people been like? I mean, general public just thinking, wow, this is something new, something fresh. It is happening a lot now. We have younger people coming into government. So what has that given has there been any kind of feeling or any kind of maybe more excitement, or have you? What's been the kind of general feedback?
When I've started going around different groups or meeting different organisations, they're really positive about it. They think, wow, this is nice. It's quite good to have somebody different. It's good to have a young person in the Parliament as well, because it just adds a wee bit of variety to the folk who are currently elected. So people have been on the whole very positive. I'm glad to see that young folk are taking an interest in politics, and so much so that they're willing to put themselves forward for election as well. So people have, I think, been quite interested in why I've got involved in politics, and quite positive on the whole. Like I say, there is always the downside. You try and have to work that wee bit harder, and I think being young and female has its own kind of problems. I mean, there are young male politicians, but being young and female tends to get a wee pat on the head at times. But like I say, on the whole, most people have, in fact, without exception, been very, very positive, especially even in the chamber across the parties as well, which is probably something that's quite surprising to people. I think all the new MSPs have been given words of encouragement from folk who have been there a wee bit longer than them from all parties, and that's quite a nice thing, and that's something that the public don't always get to see, unfortunately.
So let's rewind a little bit now, and maybe just have a look at where you've come from and who you are and how you got to the stage that you're at now. So just tell us a little bit about your background. Where are you from? Where were you born?
I grew up in Perthshire, between Perth and Dundee in the Sidlaw Hills. My dad was a tenant farmer, and so I grew up in the farm. There was a small farm, my mum and dad and my younger sister Louise. And we lived there all our life. In fact, my sister and I were the 3rd generation in that farm, so that had been our agricultural background going back many generations on both sides, both my mum and my dad, and went to a small rural school called Calais Primary School, which only had 16 people when I went and 30 when I left, and then went to Perth Academy. So it was a lovely, very idyllic upbringing. My mum volunteered in lots of different organisations, involved in lots of different groups, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Really idyllic. I think looking back now, having all the local produce on your doorstep and all these fresh fruit and vegetables, it's kind of, at the time probably didn't necessarily appreciate it, but looking back it was really very, very good. A lot of open space and freedom to play.
That's great.